Welcome to the Princess Power Hour, where we show you how to go from pauper to powerful by transforming your health, your wealth, and your relationships. Here's the princess of podcasting herself, Natalie Thomas.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to be talking to Jan Edwards about Inspired to Change, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. And before that, I always tell you about my lip color of the day. It is a brand new one, and it is called Glam Doll. And the super cool thing about my lip color is, check this out. It is kiss-proof. It is smudge-proof, and it is lead-free, wax-free, cruelty-free, vegan, and GMO-free. It's FDA-approved, and you can get that over at www.lipstickkissesandlove.com. While you're there, you want to get a gloss because the gloss is the secret sauce that locks it all in. Now, most people love the glossy gloss. We also have matte gloss. We have silver glitter gloss, gold glitter gloss, pink glitter gloss, opal gloss, pearl gloss, rose gloss, bougainvillea gloss, and a lot of other fun things. So I have so much fun trying on the different colors every day and playing with combinations. But right now we're going to switch gears and we're going to have fun with Jan Edwards talking about Inspired to Change. So Jan is a published editor, ghostwriter, author, genius and joy guide, and intuitive life sculptor. With a passion to see people discover, experience, and express an authentic life, she guides them to align with their genius and joy zone for the highest expression of life and work. She cuts through the muck, connecting people with their inner resources and innate light by covering the most direct pathways to coming alive. Their authentic soul, whether in her business, the Gifted Ghostwriter, or her work as the quest guide, Jan discerns valuable intricacies, sometimes hidden beneath the awareness of her clients and their projects, and helps them recover the essence of themselves and their work in the world. Jan works face-to-face with individuals and groups in Northern and Southern California and virtually as far as Nigeria, teaching how to create a better life by following your desires, your inspiration, and what makes you feel good. Currently, Jan is accepting co-authorship submissions for her book, Inspired to Change, and creating a change of Inspired to Change meetups in January 2018. Well, Jan, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. You read that so well.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, now let's right out of the gate, and there's some things I want to tell everybody about you, but tell us about Inspired. There's a reason that we capitalize the I and the N. Tell us about that.
Right. So the word inspiration, most people don't think about this, but inspiration can be triggered by watching other people and wanting something that someone else has and being motivated by other people. But actually the word inspiration is written with an I and an N because it only comes from within each individual. So when I first created this title, which was a little over 2 years ago, I wanted that to be spelled with both the capital I and then the capital N, so that would kind of just be a visual hook for people to realize it's not something outside of you. It's something inside of you.
That is powerful. Now, I'm going to tell our audience real quick. Jan and I have just kind of keep coming into each other's circles, and she reminded me of something that I literally had no memory of. Literally, her being involved with Meeting My Business, what did you say, about 8 years ago? Or was it something like that you came into Chance and
something
Water,
like
or
that.
were introduced to Chance and Water?
Yeah.
And then she and I have been involved with, she does a health, what do you want to call that? I want to get the right word, and I'm not finding it.
The business that I'm kind of transitioning out of right now is setting up health expos and consulting professionals on how to promote their health business.
Okay, so I have bought booths and been involved with that Jan works to get going and apparently is transitioning out of. And she is a ghostwriter, and I have hired her to do ghostwriting work for me. And she has done an excellent job on that. I've just rehired her for that and been so pleased. But I was really impressed, Jan, with something you said to me, and it really warmed my heart. I made the comment to you when I sent you the email yesterday about rehiring you, and I said, I've changed my mind again. And you gave just a beautiful, warm response. And I don't know if you remember exactly what that wording was. Do you want to share with everybody? Because that meant a lot to me.
Yeah. Well, you said, I keep changing my mind. I'm sorry, I keep changing my mind. And I said, you're not changing your mind. You're just getting more clear on what you want. And now you're ready to move forward. When we have this kind of doubt or this kind of like fluctuating roller coaster-ish way about us, it's just because we don't have enough data, which means we don't have enough clarity because we don't have enough information or maybe enough time baking in the oven for us to go, aha, I got it, I'm ready. I know I want to do this and I don't want to do that. So that's just where you were.
There you go. And that gives me honestly some insight into your perspective on this inspired to change and coaching people. And it just made me feel so good inside. Usually in the beginning, I had asked Jan to do the task, and very logically, she came back and asked me for more information, which I didn't have for her at the time. And instead of getting frustrated with me, she just rolled with this and accepted it when I was ready. And I'm just so pleased. So, and I know that, what you will produce will be pleasing as well. I just absolutely trust that from what I've seen working with you in the past. So let's talk a little bit more about some of these other things that you're doing. The Quest Guide, what does that look like?
Back in 2014, I was asked to speak at an event, and I was told I can speak on anything I wanted. And at the time, I was just beginning a very deep personal transformation that I would enter into in kind of a reclusive way for a while, and completely came out a different person. But this was in kind of the beginning to middle of that period. And so my personal journey at that point was really rediscovering who I was and rediscovering what my value is and what am I worth and who wants to listen to me anyway. If I can talk about anything I want, what do I want to talk about that's really integrated in me and that I can authentically speak about that will really move people and inspire them to make some kind of a new shift, awareness, or change in their life. So I went on a journey and I started just journaling and note-taking, and I realized that no matter where we are in our life, no matter what age we are at, we're always on a quest for something. We are always looking for something different or better, whether it's a new job or new house or new hairdo or more money or forgiveness or aliveness or recovery from a health condition. We're always looking for something. And so that was kind of the doorway that opened this business for me called the Quest Guide. And when you get to the point in your quest for whatever that is that you're seeking, usually the end result is that you find out where your joy is in your life. Genius is. And we all have it. It's not just for, the privileged few. We all have it. So my journey is to help people discover where their zone of genius and joy is and help them use it in their life and in their work.
Now, I'm curious about something. When you started this journey, I'm going to guess that possibly one of two things was your catalyst. The first one would either be divorce or the other one would be the empty nest syndrome. Did either one of those play into it, or was it something else for you?
No, it was something different. But with me, I've been a seeker all my life. So I'm wanting to go deeper, and anything can be a catalyst for me. But at that point, I had been jilted out of my home by they was a squatter. And as a result of that and other things, it was just a huge tumble down experience. And thinking about changing careers, not sure what my value is. Was I really happy with what I was doing? Was it really making a difference? Just all kinds of things.
Got it. So you were looking for your joy.
Yeah.
And in looking for your joy, you found that helping other people find their joy is sort of your magic spot.
Yeah. They say you teach what you need to learn. And so I usually am conscious enough so that at the very beginning of my seeking, I know that in my development and unfolding of the understanding that's going on behind the scenes in my life, I'm going to take that each step of the way with the people that I work with.
Wow.
I literally translate as I'm going through it with my clients, helping them do the same thing.
I've heard that from pastors too. A lot of times they'll say they preach on topics that they need to be learning about and things like that. Yeah. Well, that's very interesting. And what would you say your main group of clients, what is their catalyst for reaching out and connecting with you?
Well, I have two different businesses, but there's kind of a common thread. One is ghostwriting and editing, and the other is the life and work design. The common thread is they're ready for a change. They're ready to find themselves, although they wouldn't describe that to me. They're not aware of that. But they're ready to take their business to the next level, and they're having a hard time, or they're ready to shift between, this corporate kind of job to work in their gifts, and they're afraid, or they want to promote themselves personally through their profiles or their mission statements or their life mission statements, or they want to promote their businesses, but they don't really know the words and they don't really know how to put it on paper and online in order for it to attract people that they want. So it's really a self-inventory process that they're in the middle of, which is what I went through. And so that's how I kind of take them through the blueprint that I designed with my own experience.
Oh, very nice. Okay. So, what would you say that you feel the most passionate about with everything that you do?
Oh, let's see. So many things. I think the most passionate thing that I connect with is my connection with my feelings and my connection with what I call the vibrational aspect of people and things. So, we have these 5 senses. Our 6th sense is our ability to feel or our emotions. And most of us are taught to push those down. So it's just a whole other podcast. But my most passionate experience is when I do connect with my feelings. And then when I allow them to connect me with what other things are going on behind the scenes, beyond what's visible. And that's actually where I work with my clients. I kind of call myself a word sculptor and a life sculptor. And I work in both realms. I work in the physical material realm with creating words and having conversations and putting them online and putting projects together. Then the non-physical, or what I call vibrational world, is where I really get the inspiration and the juice of it so that I can do the material physical work. So I go back and forth in the worlds, which requires me to be alone a lot because you can't in that world when you're around people and distraction a lot. So yeah, that's where my passion is.
Interesting. Now, let's say that I reached out to you. I wanted my life sculpted.
Yeah.
Where would we start?
I would probably ask you to pick the area that's the most uncomfortable for you, because resculpting your life is a huge project. So we want to start with baby steps, and we want to start in the areas that are going to give you the most gain the quickest as possible. Yeah, I would ask you, where are you suffering the most in your life? Are you suffering in your relationships, in your health, your work, in your self-image, in your body, in where you're at in your life with your kids? And that's where we go from there. And then plugging in the blueprint really, really begins with me helping you understand that the most important first step is for you to give yourself permission to go inside and find out what feels good to you. Permission to go inside and remember or discover who you are now, what you love now, what's important to you now, what your values are. It's a huge process, lots of different really fun and really exciting.
Wow. It sounds like almost like peeling an onion, like you get one layer and then there's another one at some point. And
because we're like, I like to call us these huge tumbleweeds that started out as a couple of, little stones or branches, and windstorms and the tornadoes of our life from the time we're born. We're just like rolling here and then rolling there and being here and flying, and we keep gathering more stuff that's really not who we are. And so we have to let go of all the stuff in the tumbleweed to get back to the core of who we were.
But we have to look at it. We have to be willing to look at it, which I know you know that, but I want our audience to know that. Sometimes we block things. And I was privileged to work with a gal. She gave me a call and we spent about half an hour together. And she said, Natalie, if I never had to have sex with my husband again, I would be so happy. Well, he's not going to be happy. That's not going to be a good relationship. And I started with the question, were you ever molested? And her answer was no. And we continued talking. And a few minutes later, it bubbled up, a memory bubbled up. And she said, oh my gosh, I remember now. I was molested and I made a vow that no man was ever going to do that to me again. Yeah. And she and I were able to work together just a few minutes and pray together, broke that thing off. And the last communication I got from her was that there had been this big shift in her marriage and in her, sex life, and that she was real happy. But being willing to take a look at something and sometimes we make decisions and it doesn't bring value to us later on. But when we can have somebody like you to guide us through that and ask the questions that maybe a person wouldn't know to ask. And I know, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think two things came up for me when you were talking about that. One is that you can't force things. There's a natural season and cycle, and the fear that most people have that prevents them from even knowing things like that happen to them is that they've actually compartmentalized the whole emotional experience into a little closet and they've closed the door. So they really don't remember, or they can't access it. But feelings and emotions, all they are energy. And we're so afraid of them. We're so afraid because we've conditioned not to look at our own feelings because selfish if we pay attention to how we feel all the time. That's what we're taught. But if we realize that emotions are just energy, they're not going to, as soon as you open that closet door, they're not going to come out and attack you and kill you. It's just an energy that needs to move, and it's been stuck for so long. And so if we can get people to understand that energy just needs to move, and as soon as you allow that energy of emotion that's been buried for 20, 30, 40 years to come up inside of you and cry or yell or whatever you need to do in private, and then it's gone and you move on to the next,
As you're saying that, I'm thinking of a couple of situations in my own life, and my long-term listeners know I've been through a lot. Okay. Raped, molested, beaten, cheated on, divorced, all those crazy, horrible things that can happen. Have managed to pretty much all of them happen to me. And a lot of good things have happened to me too. But along the way, I had 2 serious depressions that lasted 6 months each. And if you've ever lived through anything like that, it's horrifying. It's so dark that you just feel like you can't pull yourself out. And sometimes, Jan, I have pictured, I'm very much a move forward kind of a person. I don't spend a lot of time looking back. And I mean, I can if I'm working with somebody like you for something and I need to do it. Obviously, if I'm signing up to be coached, I'm willing. You want healing and you want to move on. You don't want to just dwell in something. Some people live in their dirty diapers for a very, very long time and they're comfortable there, but their lives are miserable. But I think for me, I've had a fear of, I think of it as this sort of big, slimy, ugly, deep pit. And if I lean over to put my finger in it, that I might just fall in and it might swallow me. I mean, like literally that's the visual that I've had. And so, I guess I wouldn't say fear, but maybe that is the right word, that not wanting to risk having another depression like that. it's been over 20 years since I've had anything like that, but you don't, you have any thoughts on anything like that for somebody
Yeah.
that's listening?
Yeah. Depression is really just simply the suppressing of our aliveness because we're afraid that we can't cope with what may come at us. So it's really pushing everything down. It's pushing our joy down. It's pushing our aliveness down. It's pushing our emotions down so that we don't experience any emotion, whether we would call it negative or positive.
Mm.
Yeah, it really is a stagnating energy. But along with that, I would say that sometimes in the emotional tone scale, which if you've ever heard of that, is okay, you want to look it up because it's too much to talk about right now. But
Okay.
in the emotional tone scale, depression is actually higher in emotion than other feelings.
Really?
So sometimes you're actually stepping up in your actualizing of your emotional healing by going upward to depression from where you were before. So sometimes people, we label things, but without understanding the full wide perspective of what that means, we mislabel them. And then we can fall into beliefs that really don't serve us. And so depression sometimes is a relief where you were before. And sometimes it's actually the pause that allows you to prepare internally for the next phase of where you're going to go up the emotional tone scale.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. Definitely didn't know that. I'm going to have to look up the emotional tone scale, and some of you out there listening might want to too. So Jan, when you first started with all of this and you got into this whole idea of inspired to change, what do you know now that maybe you wish you knew back then?
Okay. What do I know now is mostly that to trust myself, because mostly what we're taught from the time we're born is actually the opposite of what's true. We're taught to pay attention to what other people say and to make sure other people feel good, and that paying attention to what feels good to us and what we want is selfish, and that we need that over there and him over there and that permission over there in order to go forward and be satisfied and be successful and be accepted and move anywhere in life. And all of that is really opposite of what's true. So if I could know something then that I know now, it would be to trust myself and to strip away everything that doesn't feel like me anymore, so that you can get to the core of who you really are. When you get to that core and that pure essence of what is only Jan, it's so clear. You have such clear pathways now for all the messages to come to you, and all the resources to come to you, and all the ideas to come to you, and all the right choices to make themselves available, and the right people to come into your life, and the right support channels. Things just flow to you when you really start trusting in yourself and knowing that you really are the clear channel for everything that you need in your life.
So it's like you're attracting the right things into your life when you're a more pure version of yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, for many, many years, I'd say a couple of decades, I was a chameleon. That was one phase. I talk about different phases in our lives. The bear and the chameleon and the caterpillar and all these things. But the is the one that wants to just blend in with wherever they're at and whoever they're at, because they want to be accepted. They want to fit in. They don't want to be different. They want to be like. So yeah, I did that for a long time. It's just kind of like a safe space for a while, especially and through trauma or you violated. Yeah.
But it's not being true to yourself.
Right. But it's a step. It's a stepping stone. And for me, like talk about the emotional tone scale, that was a step up from where I was before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. That is incredible. Well, I know that you market your work different ways. Do you want to talk about that? How you spend time marketing your business? We teach over here. We talk a lot about health, wealth, and relationships. And wealth has a lot to do with business. So we try to give people tips on how they can, do their business or do their life or do their health. And one of the tips is just kind of what you're doing for yourself, how you grow your businesses, things like that.
Mm-hmm. I think the most important thing first is to decide how much do you want from your business? How much do you want to work? How much fame do you want? How much money do you want? How much time do you want to put into it? What do you want it to look like? What do you want it to feel like? So before you can really market it, like if I just went gangbusters and started marketing like crazy, I might have too much work coming in. And then that would set my balance off in my experience of joy in my life. On the other hand, if I did the opposite, I wouldn't have enough. So then I'd be in a different, like, fear-based, anxiety-based. So when I market, I always check in with myself. Where am I at? What do I want right now? And my, success doesn't mean I have this great big house and I have 2 cars and I have, freedom to travel anywhere at any time. And I have all these toys and I have, millions of dollars in the bank. That's not what success means to me. Success means to me feeling free enough to feel and appreciate every moment of my life, the small things, and be able to have a connection with myself that's solid. And I do that before I market. And when I market, I always listen to what I'm feeling intuitively.
Really?
Yeah, I always act on inspiration. And sometimes I won't do much marketing at all for periods of time. And other times I'll just be in the flow and I'll just keep going and going, going. That's just this inner inspired energy. And so I flow with that. I am very much in my flow. So marketing to me is different than most people marketing. For me, my biggest area of marketing really is Facebook. And I know that might sound silly or crazy or, out of balance, but follow my joy, follow what feels good. I have a lot of connections on Facebook. I have a lot of groups, a lot of pages. I have a lot of clients who I manage their pages, and I engage in at least 50 to 60 groups and on my personal page and then my professional pages. So when I market, it's usually about taking a picture of something I just did, or writing a feeling about how I felt when I just worked with someone, or taking a clip of a testimonial that I just got from someone, or writing about a new client that I am excited to work with and what we're going to do, or writing about my new decision to become a traveling ghostwriter and taking pictures of pages that I'm writing on my website. So, and then I post them on, whatever page, depending on what I'm posting, and then I share them in amounts of groups.
Mm-hmm.
And then it generates, it just generates a lot. So that's my biggest area. I do Instagram pretty much the same way. I have a LinkedIn account, lots of connections. I don't really work on that, although people contact me from there.
Really?
I work a lot with marketing that takes effort. I do it on a feel-good, inspirational basis.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've always paid people to do my LinkedIn, and I've started doing it myself. And it's interesting because I get this feeling of joy and expectancy that's welling up with me when I do it.
Perfect.
And I'm like, wow, this is fun. I'm constantly thinking that as I'm working on it, which is, I don't think something that I would have felt in the past. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's not something that I'm going to, continue doing that job forever, but it's still being able to work out of that emotion where it's less work than it is fun.
There you go.
It feels like that's what you're saying in many ways.
That's where it's at. Because wherever we focus our energy, and I like to call it our vibration, like you just talked, well, I'll give you an example. I was without a car a couple years back and I had to rent a car, and I rented a VW, and it was so cute. And I got in that car, and from the position I was in, I felt really high and the window was huge. And it just put me in a place of feeling so good and so empowered. All of a sudden, I just started getting what I call downloads of ideas and inspirations.
Wow.
That's really being fully in the vibrational moment of whatever feels good. And when you're in that place, that's the time to make those calls to people you want to work with. Make that decision about what you want to do to your website. Make that plan to go on that trip to see whatever, because that's when all the elements of the universe are fully turned on inside of you. And that's when anything is possible.
Wow.
Of what most of us are taught, which is really work hard and, discipline yourself even when you don't feel like it. You just better tough it up and you just better sit there and plan it and go through, that's like,
yes.
that. I am done with that. As soon as I let that go, my life completely changed.
Well, I've got a question for you when we
Yes.
come back, because I have been so in the flow. Oh, I forgot to take a commercial. So everybody, we will be right back with Jan Edwards. Are you looking for ways to improve your life? Did you know that there are ancient texts with all kinds of great information about who we really are? Once you get that down into you, it's life-changing. So I have compiled some of the best for you to listen to for 15 minutes every morning. It's so simple to get it into your spirit about the amazing person that you are. Feel better about yourself. And with these recordings, you actually get 6 free bonuses. So I want you to go after the show to scripturalaffirmations.com for more information. All right, so we've been talking to Jan Edwards. We've been talking about Inspired to Change, and it has been so fun. I was just absolutely gripped there, and we are coming up to the end. But you talked about renting that VW and about that feeling that it gave you. Like, did you go out and buy a VW after that, or did you just enjoy that moment and move on?
I just enjoyed that moment, but it actually gave me one of my first hits of understanding how things really work. And I remember once I got the hang of that and knew that, wow, when I made that call to that person, it resulted in this. And when I made that blah, 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 it resulted in this. And then I just really kind of started getting it and believing in it. And a whole other podcast actually is on the power of belief, which is this. But when I actually started doing that on a regular basis, I remember logging on a notepad how many days I actually drove around in my car with a big smile on my face. And I think I went for 31 days where every single time I was in my car, I was smiling. I was just appreciating life. There was not one day that I was driving without a smile on my face for 31 days.
Girl, I would have bought myself a VW after that. I would not have stopped there, but I love the story. I know how there are some things. And as a matter of fact, I told you my depression story earlier. I'm going to add 2 parts to that because it kind of ties in here. Obviously, I wouldn't be telling it. What launched one of those depressions was at Thanksgiving, a sister-in-law said something to me that, maybe I took it wrong. Maybe she meant it wrong. Who knows? We don't have to go there. But just words, just somebody's sentence really spiraled me into a very bad, ugly, dark place for 6 months. But what took me out of it, I remember I went to TJ Maxx one time, and trust me, this is over 20 years ago and I still have the coat. I bought the most beautiful velvet coat, and it made me so happy that it broke the power of that depression. And still love the coat to that day. I go years without wearing it, but then every once in a while it comes back around. And later on, I found a fabulous suede maroon. It was a maroon coat, and I later found a suede maroon purse. And you can pull me around by my tongue with suede. I just drool over suede. I love suede.
There you go.
But as you're talking about that car, all of a sudden I remembered that coat and what that did for me, and I was so grateful because I didn't know how I was going to find my way out, and that silly coat did it for me.
Yeah. And the point of the story too is not really that we should go buy VWs, because my joy is not going to be your joy.
You're right.
Joy is
but
suede coat.
But embracing that joy is really my point. You're right. You
Yes.
didn't have to buy it. You didn't need
Yes.
to buy it to continue it. You
Yes.
found that joy within you, and you were able to continue it, weren't you?
Yes. Yes. And you just said that is continuing the joy, which I call milking it. You want to milk it as much as possible. Stay in that zone as much as you can. Allow yourself, give yourself permission to stay there as long as you can, because from that place, so many things can happen. You get energized, your health can change, ideas come to you, people call you, just incredible things change.
Well, I think that is absolutely fabulous. Now, I know there are a couple different ways for people to work with you, because you have the ghostwriting and then you have this amazing coaching. So tell them a little bit about that. Tell them how to reach out to you, what you have to offer. And everybody, Jan has a really great offer for our Princess Power Hour people. You have to tell her you heard about her here, but go ahead, Jan, tell them what you've got.
I do. Couple ways you can get a hold of me. The easiest, best one is to email me at giftedghostwriter.com. And you can also check my Facebook page out. I'm constantly receiving and responding to messages there. That's Jan Edwards. There are a few Jan Edwards. So the digits after my name is 5203, Jan Edwards 5203. You can also look up the Gifted Ghostwriter on Facebook. You can look up the Quest Guide on Facebook. And basically, I want to offer just the Princess Power Hour. I called it the Princess Power Hour gift, which is if you contact me through email and ask for the Princess Power Hour special, I will give you 20% off any of my services. So my services are ghostwriting, editing, life design, which is through my Quest Guide services. And I also have a book that I'm going to be publishing in January. It's called Inspired to Change. I have one, maybe two more spaces for what's called a co-author. So it's a co-authored book of stories about how people in unbelievable life situations have been inspired to change and get out of the situation. Miraculous changes. And I'm one of them. So a co-author, can be big or can be small. You don't have to be a writer. Just contact me if you're interested in that. And then I also just want to give people a heads up that in Northern and Southern California, as you announced in the beginning, I'll be starting a kind of a chain of meetups, and they're called Inspired to Change. And it'll be very exciting. Eventually, we're going to be doing retreats and all kinds of inspirational chains of events throughout at least California, if not beyond.
Ooh, that is very exciting. Now, Jan used to live in beautiful Orange County. She has moved up north, and I know that she's back on her way down. What is that, tomorrow or later today?
Tomorrow. I leave on Halloween.
She's got 9 days that she's going to be down in Orange County. So I think those meetups sound amazing, and I think the retreats sound like a very, very exciting, Jan. So thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. I know you're busy and it was a slice of your time, but we sure appreciate it. And I hope everybody reaches out to you.
It was my pleasure. I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. I want to say one more thing. Do I have one more minute?
Oh, you do, of course.
Okay. This is just something that came to me as I was walking along the levee last week. I just want to say, no matter where you are in life and what you're looking for, always remember to let each step you make, no matter how great or small, and every change that you take, be not by force, not by tediousness, and not by grueling effort, but on the wings of inspiration, born out of your knowing what you desire and your intention to feel good. Being inspired to change is an internal affair between you and you.
I love that. I didn't get it written down fast enough.
I'll send it to you.
But, oh, that was beautiful. Thank you. I would love that. I'm still writing, but yeah, I would look forward to getting it. Oh my gosh, so good. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jan. And thank you everybody for listening. If you've enjoyed the show, please, please, please share it and let's get it out there. And God bless you, everybody, and have an amazing day in life. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Princess Power Hour with Natalie Thomas. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit princesspower.com or on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and Twitter at PP Princess Power. Until next time, work smarter, not harder. Have a question for your host of Princess Power Hour, Natalie Thomas? Contact us at www.princesspower.com or tweet us at ppprincesspower.